violence and other kind of violence.
Get away! I could be at work, at school, in my car, and I can still get shot by the police. But I can get shot anywhere.
So it is what it is.
What's good, YouTube? It's the Black Gen Z Mindset. Make sure you go ahead and like, comment, share, and subscribe, and let's get into the video.
Welcome back. And murder charges have been filed in the starvation death of a 7-year-old boy from Orange County. Peter Kouakas of Newburgh died last February. Prosecutors say his father's girlfriend, Letitia Bravo, kept Peter hidden in a locked room without food after she became his primary caregiver.
Wow. So, guys, we have a lot to unpack here. Shout out to Mr. Palmer. This is an example of a baby mama terrorist. This woman gained custody of the kid and then proceeds to starve and basically torture that child. And we speak about parental alienation, which is practiced mostly by women, you know, and it's a huge problem. It's a huge problem, and it's overlooked. It's not spoken about, and it needs to be addressed, because a lot of times what these women will do, they'll fight to get custody of the kid and then give them a crappy life in retaliation to the boyfriend or the baby daddy, thinking that she's getting back at him by giving the child a bad life, you know, even though she knows that the man is more capable of taking care of that child.
She's accused of second-degree murder. Peter's father is also criminally charged with negligent homicide.
We have one person.
So the father is charged too, which is kind of weird to me, because he didn't even have custody.
Responsible for the condition that sets everything in motion, that leads to Peter's death, and you have another person that saw it happening while it was going on and should have known to take some action. And
so he saw it happening and should have known. For me, it's like, if he fought for the custody and tried to get custody of his kid and they didn't give him the custody, then who's really at fault here? That seems like the government's fault.
Didn't.
Police say Bravo eventually took the boy to the emergency room unresponsive. He weighed just 37 pounds.
Information about a driver who was possibly killed in an attack after he allegedly tried to hit a group of people with his car.
Yeah, Eyewitness News reporter Leticia Juarez live in Hawthorne with the details. Good morning, Leticia.
Well, good morning to you there. This is the sidewalk where it all came down. Investigators letting us know a little bit more this morning about what happened. But you take a look at the damage from behind me. This is where they believe that vehicle struck the building here outside of the Rocket Sports Lounge. Police telling us this all started out as an altercation with a group of people after the driver was kicked out of a business. Now, according to investigators, the driver, identified as 40-year-old Miguelin Santos, had gotten to his truck and had tried to run down some patrons that were standing out.
Miguelin Santos. This is a brother from the Cesar Chavez community. And I've been doing a lot of stories on brothers from the Cesar Chavez. The last one, obviously, was Cesar Chavez community, and this one as well. And, you know, I don't know these people's citizenship status or anything like that, but just understand that if we got people from the Cesar Chavez community acting up crazy right now, imagine the ones who are coming across the border, you know, with no papers, no nothing, supposedly coming for a better life. You know, it's crazy, and this could be considered a road rage incident. He got asked to leave somewhere, and he came back with his vehicle and tried to do some damage. And, you know, shout out to Ock Nation News. He always says, man, you never want to tell a brother, you know, a son brother, to leave somewhere. But I think that can also apply to the brothers in the Cesar Chavez community as well, because these dudes are wilding too, and they're on demon time as well in a lot of instances. Okay,
of a business. Now, according to investigators, the driver, identified as 40-year-old Miguelin Santos, had gotten to his truck and had tried to run down some patrons that were standing outside on the sidewalk. He missed them, but then hit the building, as I just showed you a few moments ago.
This man is 40 years old, having childish outbursts like this. I mean, and it's like, man, when are we going to... I mean, these brothers got to grow up, man.
That's when four men, presumably the targets of this, dragged him out of his vehicle and then proceeded to beat him. Now, we're still waiting to learn more on the investigation in terms of the autopsy into what caused his death, but they're considering blunt force trauma to. So
this dude tries to hit these guys who are standing outside in front of the corner store, and he turns around, or those guys turn around and beat this man to death. I mean, that is an example of police in your own community, I guess. You know, but I don't know. It seems like there is a underlying feud between these people. It's got to be something deeper.
To beat him. Now, we're still waiting to learn more on the investigation in terms of the autopsy into what caused his death, but they're considering blunt force trauma to the victim there. So that is what we know for now, and we're hoping to get more information from the Hawthorne police later in the day. Reporting live here in Hawthorne, Leticia Juarez, ABC 7 Eyewitness News.
Police say one person is dead and 14 others were injured after a shooting overnight inside a popular bar in downtown St. Paul.
Brittany Ehrman is live at the scene with the latest from police and reaction from those who were there as the chaos erupted. Brittany.
Well, St. Paul police says 3 male suspects are in custody in connection to the shooting. And we spoke to eyewitnesses that saw it all unfold earlier this morning. And they say they haven't been able to sleep since it happened. And just a warning, the video you're about to watch is graphic.
So y'all know what Lil Yachty say. He said it get cold like Minnesota. And this is in St. Paul, Minnesota, which it's you know, it's going crazy in Minnesota. We already know this ever since the Floyd incident and then the pandemic going crazy. We have seen an uptick in these violent crimes. So let's see who the perpetrators were in this mass shooting. Although I don't think it's gonna take, you know, an expert to guess.
I saw so many people come out of that place in one time. I am surprised nobody got trampled.
Marcus Van Gelder stepped out of 7th Street Truck Park Bar for a phone call. A decision that possibly saved his life.
But I saw everybody went every direction possible that was not in that club.
Yo.
As fast as they could, with terror in their eyes.
Yo. That's wild.
Fear in their faces, with just panic written all over their bodies, crying, screaming, bewilderment.
Boatloads of people pouring out the bar, but he didn't see his sister.
My little sister's inside there. Is she okay?
Terror inside your heart when you think your family member might be dead, that's the real terror.
Minutes that he says felt like an eternity later, he found her.
Melina!
She was about 15 feet away. She saw the guy, she saw the gun, she was pushed to the ground, fell on her back, and chaos ensued.
Wow. She saw the guy, she saw the gun, she was pushed onto her back, and it went down. So this is a mass shooting. It's going to be underreported on in the media because of the perpetrators, right? And y'all know who the perpetrators are. I mean, I don't even have to see their faces, honestly. You know what it is when it sounds like, you know, 1 person dead, 15 shot. These dudes who are shooting, they're shooting indiscriminately. They're not taking aim. They're just shooting at random. Okay, they don't care if they hit their target or anything like that. They just want to be known for popping off. And hey, can't nobody mess with me because I'll pop this. I'll set this thing off tight.
This is nothing short of a tragedy. We had people in the city of St. Paul out on a Saturday night having a good time. And we had other people who decided to pull guns with reckless disregard for human life.
I mean, this is what y'all voted for. Minnesota is hella woke. Hella woke. And it only takes like a few bad apples. It only takes a few bad apples for the whole city to go awry.
12:15 earlier this morning, authorities say multiple people called 911 begging for help, reporting shots fired in a busy bar on West 7th Street. Police responded to what they call a chaotic scene at the Truck Park bar. That's where they found 15 people with gunshot wounds, some lying in the street. A woman in her 20s died from her injuries at the scene.
Honestly, hazy. Like a nightmare.
Emily Kiefer was in town visiting a friend. They were.
Y'all think Emily was out there protesting with the Black Lives Matter protests and all that kind of stuff? I guarantee she was. I guarantee she was. Like I know if I go to her Instagram, she definitely was. So, I mean, in some instance, you like, man, you feel sorry for him, and then other instances, it's like, well, this is kind of what you guys voted for. This is what defund the police produces. In Minnesota, they were one of the first to defund their police.
Both inside the bar when it happened. As shots rang out feet away, she says a man used his body as a shield to protect them.
He just said, stay down. You have kids. I don't. And I'm like, you have a son. You told us you have a son. And he's like, you're married. You have 2 kids. And I'm like, yeah, I do. And I hope that I get to him.
And this is another instance, man. I mean, men taking the lead, putting their lives on the line. You know, we've got so many people out here saying men ain't this, men ain't that. Hey, when the pressure turns on, you know, the men turn into the heroes.
You know?
And St. Paul police says those 3 suspects are being treated for their injuries in the hospital. Then they'll be booked into the Ramsey County Jail where they'll await possible charges. And I want you to take a look at this right here. This is a ceremony going on dedicated to the woman who died. She was.
You see how they didn't post the pictures of the men who are in custody? Because the media does not, they do not want people to know that most mass shootings, or let me say it like this, they don't want the people, the populace to know who is committing most of these mass shootings. We've had 2 mass shootings in the last week, one at a high school in Texas, another one right here in a bar. Who y'all think did it? Who do y'all think that? And the thing is, they're not talking about it. They're not talking about it because it doesn't fit the narrative of the white boy mass shooter goes in and does this, and you know what I mean?
In her 20s, and the speaker is saying senseless gun violence has to stop. Live in St. Paul, Brittany Arman, 5 Eyewitness News.
3 men are behind bars right now, arrested in connection to a mass shooting in St. Paul. This is the largest in recent city history. This is video that was taken moments after gunfire riddled a food hall on busy 7th Street. One young woman was killed. 14 more people were wounded in that shootout. We are learning more right now about the victim who lost her life. Friends say this is her, Markeisha Wiley, a beloved animal.
Markeisha Wiley, another sister, taken out, man. Wow.
Care worker. One close friend told me that Markeisha was magnetic and she is being remembered for being bright, joyful, and supportive. All of this happened just after midnight at the 7th Street Truck Park. Anyone who has gone to a wild game or a concert is familiar with that part of town. It's a popular area just 1 block from the X.
Y'all think these dudes care if it's highly populated? They don't care if it's broad day, midnight. It doesn't matter when a brother is on demon time. It doesn't matter it doesn't matter when, where you are. Anybody can get it.
This is nothing short of a tragedy. We had people in the city of St. Paul out on a Saturday night having a good time, and we had other people who decided to pull guns with reckless disregard for human life and pull the trigger over and over and over and over again.
The WCCO team has been talking to police, witnesses, business leaders all day long. And a word of caution here, some of the information and the imagery is not suitable for younger audiences. We're going to begin right now with our coverage with David Schumann. He spoke with a man who was actually face to face with the gunman and some of his victims. But first, David, the mayor just finished speaking. What did he have to say?
Uh-oh, are we going to find out who did it?
Yeah, Susan Elizabeth, we're outside City Hall. We just finished speaking to the mayor a couple minutes ago. He hasn't spoken to any of the victims' families yet, but he pointed to last night's tragedy as a reason why public safety reforms have to continue to be pursued.
The reason we're so shocked and appalled, heartbroken, anytime something like this happens is because we're not used to things like this happening in our city, and because we don't accept things like this.
Whoa. So we got a black mayor. We got a black mayor in St. Paul, Minnesota, which you would never think that there would be a black mayor in St. Paul, Minnesota, but it's 2021, right? The demographics for St. Paul, Minnesota, 57% white, 16% African American, 18% Asian, and the rest other Indian and all that kind of stuff. Like, I mean, you can't make it up. You could tell this mayor is woke as well. You could tell Melvin Carter is definitely woke.
Happening in our city, and that's why our police officers show up as quickly as they do.
We'll play the mayor's press conference in its entirety on CBSN after this broadcast. Earlier today, though, I did speak to a man who was at the bar last night celebrating a friend's birthday. He says the gunshots started suddenly, without warning. There was no commotion, no argument, no fight that he knew of. Next thing, everybody around him was dropping to the floor, so he did too. He heard more than one person yell out, "I'm hit," and in fact, the woman who died was right next to him on the ground. Today, the man was watching the Vikings game, but after getting no sleep last night, it was no ordinary Sunday, of course, as his mind was still on the frightening ordeal.
There was no words, I was just glad that I was able to make it home to my kids at the end of the night. So that's the only thing I was worried about. It was like a scary situation. Some people were unfortunate to make it, but I'm glad.
DeMarco Percy. DeMarco, can you please enlighten us on who did this? Please.
That most people that were hit are going to make it home.
He told me that he was happy to hear about the 3 arrests because the victims and their families deserve answers and justice. He's also now questioning whether he's going to continue to go out and socialize in that area.
Yeah, very fair question. Thank you so much, David. Caroline Cummings joins us live at the scene where there are still signs of chaos from last night. Caroline?
Hi there, Susan Elizabeth. We've been out here much of today, and for much of the day, the scene behind me felt frozen in the time behind the crime.
Hold on. I want you guys to pay attention to the guy in the background. He's speaking. He said one of the reasons why this doesn't happen is because we, as in when he says we, it's a black man. He's referring to African Americans. He say, we do not value life. I mean, Shorty's speaking over him, but this brother is saying something important, and he's a community activist. He's probably woke as well, but at least he's out there speaking out about it, speaking out against it, and this is what this channel is all about.
Seen tape that there was empty beer bottles and empty cups and even some full drinks scattered across the block. Many witnesses say that people dropped everything and rushed out away to escape the gunfire, and that many people left a lot of their personal belongings like bags and cell phones behind in the process. 22-year-old Jack Larson came back this morning to look for his phone, but that he left behind. He says he's still in shock, and he and his friends came out to the bar for some fun on what felt like a normal Saturday night. Then he says shots rang out in what felt like a time frame of just 30 seconds.
Look, when you out there and you defunded your police and you embolden these guys who are on demon time, who are trying to live out their favorite hip hop song, ain't no Saturday night normal. Every Saturday night is an opportunity to be on some hot stuff.
He described 5 or 6 shots, a pause, and then more gunfire. One person next to him and another close by were shot, and they're bloodstained on his clothes.
I'm shook up. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, it's not every day you are in a bar that gets shot up. I mean, I'm thankful that I'm okay. All my friends are okay. I mean, it's just crazy. 2 feet to the other side of me, people got shot. Like, it's hard to process. I mean, like, I'm trying to swallow it all. It's still fresh.
Now, what you can hear right now is a protest starting.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. This community activist is speaking so much truth to power. This is why this story will never go anywhere. This is why a mass shooting where a black woman, Lakeisha, who is killed in a mass shooting where 15 other people were shot, will never go anywhere, because this community activist is out here in the news clips speaking too much truth. Hold on.
People have...
It's not every day you are in a bar that gets shot up. I mean, I'm thankful that I'm okay. All my friends are okay. I mean, it's just crazy. 2 feet to the other side of me, people got shot. Like, it's hard to process. I mean, like, I'm trying to swallow it all. It's still fresh.
But 9 times out of 10, we are the culprits.
Now, wait.
My brother said 9 times out of 10, we are the culprits.
You can hear right now is a protest starting. People have come here to honor the victim who was killed. And another witness above the bar last night says he heard gunshots as he was getting ready for bed. He looked out his window and witnessed all of the chaos pouring out into the streets. And he says he saw 4 or 5 people carrying a woman to an ambulance. And the whole scene, he says, was like something out of TV, unlike anything he has seen before. Susan Elizabeth.
So much trauma for so many people.
Oh, and this may be not like anything he's ever seen before, but they're going to see a lot more of it, especially if they keep allowing these people to talk this defund the police BS. If they keep allowing these people to, hype up these criminals who are emboldened and criminal justice reform and all this stuff. Oh, you're going to see a lot more, honey.
Resources and money.
Governor Tim Walz tweeted his condolences this morning and added that the state is working in close coordination with local law enforcement as they apprehend those responsible. Now, this section of West 7th Street, as we said, is very popular. There's bars and restaurants just down the street from the X. Kate Radich shares how local business owners there are feeling about the safety of the area.
I've been going into businesses up and down the block here, just talking to business owners about how tragic this shooting is, not just for the loss of life and the people that were injured, but they were saying how they're concerned. They're concerned about the safety of this city. I talked to the owner of McGovern's Pub on the corner here. I asked him if he thought maybe people would be too afraid to come to downtown St. Paul.
You know, I don't know. I thought about that too. I don't know how it will affect my business or any business on the avenue. Obviously, this is the season where the XL starts booking a lot of things, obviously with the Wild, and then with all the concerts and other activities that go on. So do I think that could be a concern? Yes.
People have been coming by just to see the aftermath of what happened, and I've heard from several people that they had just been there the night before or last weekend, saying that this is a very popular bar and restaurant, and of course so grateful that they were not there last night. Reporting in St. Paul, Kate Raditz, WCCO 4 News.
Now, this is a big story. We know that you count on WCCO and CBS in Minnesota to deliver the latest. We want you to know that right now the news team is making calls and working on new angles. We want to recap this story for you one more time. One young woman was killed, 14 more people wounded in this shootout in St. Paul. This is video that was taken just moments after gunfire riddled a food hall on busy 7th Street. One young woman was killed, 14 more people were wounded in the
Notice how in this mass shooting, we still have no pictures of the culprits, of the suspects who were arrested.
Shootout, and we've learned more about that victim who lost her life. Friends tell us it was Markeisha Wiley, a beloved animal care worker. One close friend tells me that Markeisha was magnetic, and she is being remembered now for being bright, joyful, and supportive. All of this happened just after midnight at the 7th Street Truck Park. Anyone who has gone to a wild game or a concert is familiar with that part of the town because it's just right down the street, 1 block.
And at this point, it's hard to feel sorry for these liberals. And I know most of the people that they interviewed were liberal. It's hard to feel sorry for them because this is what y'all voted for. This is what y'all protested for. This is what y'all was marching for. Criminal justice reform. These dudes can't do no wrong. You know, all this kind of stuff. I mean, this is what y'all created. So y'all gonna have to, you made your bed, now you're gonna have to lay in it.
From the X. Now, we've reached out to the police chief in St. Paul, Todd Axtell. He told me that he is not speaking publicly today, but plans to tomorrow. He wrote on his Facebook page that he spoke with the victim's family and they are devastated. He vowed to bring them justice. You can count on us for continuing coverage on WCCO at 10. Plus, we are going to update our stories on CBSN Minnesota and WCCO.com. If you have a question or video to share, you can send it to tips@WCCO.com.
Gang violence and other kind of violence. So it is what it is.